right? And Julian is actually something of an interesting duck. He's been part of my competitive EDH group for quite some time now. He normally plays Food Chain Prosh, so he's kind of used to these all-in type combo decks. That's his thing. And it's interesting to see him try it in another format. I've known him for a while now. Great kid. Excited to see how this works out. He did, prior to the event, confide in me he did not want to be on stream. So, of course, we put him on stream. And it looks like we have mulls going now. Greg, it looks like a little bit deeper in the tank over at Julian. Seems pretty content with his hand. At least to start with. We'll see how it continues. And one moment. We'll have him off to the races. All right, there we go. Turn 1 steam vents down to 18. Pass. Okay, obviously has an opt-in hand in that case. If it was a Serum Visions, you have to assume he would have cast it main phase. So we're going to opt. We have a Gifts in hand, it looks like. Scry to the bottom, and draw a card. I think that was a Brawl. Let's see, untap, draw for turn. And Shivan Reef pass, so either no Brawl or Electromancer, or did want to play it into a path. Which, personally, I think is an incorrect play here. I definitely think that playing the Brawl out, he is way more likely to have the path later than right now. 1 second, Naveen. Let me try to work on that. How about now? Let me know if there's still an echo. All right, and Greg with a Strand pass after he gets a Foundry, and there we go, tapping 2. Going to 16 off the Shivan Reef to play an Electromancer, so this is where we'll see if the path is there, because if it is not, we may have a turn 3 here. And Plains from Greg. Great. Glad to hear it. Thanks, Naveen. And our ambient noise tonight is the styling sounds of ridiculous 80s music. 80s memes, I believe, is the playlist at the Moonbase. Let's see, Greg with a full grip there. Hasn't done anything but land pass. And here we have Journey hitting Electromancer. So, indicating the targets there. Electromancer clearly gone now. And let's see what we can get here if we have a Brawl or another Electromancer. And actually, wow, no land drop. So Julian stalled on 2 lands. He's on an interesting Sun and Moon build, so I'm not actually sure if he has Nykthos in it or not. I agree, Path would generally be better. If it was Oblivion Rin, I could see that, but being Journey, I'm not sure how that's an upgrade, unless you just don't want to give them the basic because you're all in on the Moon plan, which the Moon plan's pretty good against the Storm deck here. Not really a way for the deck to beat a Resolve Moon, and Julian still on 2 lands. Obviously, not where he wants to be. And the good old pass there from him. And land, tap 5. Is this... Oh, wow, that is a Baneslayer Angel. So, we're going to see a pretty quick clock here start to tick from Julian, and that is not a card that he wants to see either. About 2 swings puts Greg pretty quickly out of Storm range. And Julian actually getting out his Storm tokens, so it looks like we're going to try to go for it here now that Greg's tapped out. So first off, we'll have Manamorphose and Julian representing manas with die, 1 and 1. I think, yeah, Julian just has to do something here because he sees this is not long. Here, 2 mana. We got Storm Count 2, keep the same mana, draw another card. Use the blue to Serum Visions. Oh yeah, it's possible. It's not very likely. I've definitely done it myself through much labor, but it is absolutely possible. So Julian, Storm Count 3 with 1 red mana. Oh no, 2 red mana in his pool, and then Pyretic. Sorry, discards. Yeah. Yeah, Krabby, it absolutely is. It can do it. It's not fun. It's not easy. Yeah, exactly. That's the way they do it. And here it is. We are very quickly about to be out of storm range for Julian. And Chalice on 2. That's game. Actually, I'm familiar with Julian's list. It cannot beat Chalice on 2. Game 1. Game 2, it's perfectly possible. Yeah, Chalice on 2, Game 1 especially, is brutal. We have a sleight of hand here from Julian, and this is not his day. 1 on bottom, 1 in hand. Yeah, he could have a main deck wipe away. You never know. Although I'd almost rather have Shattering Spree over wipe away. Discard a Pyretic and pass. He's got to be hoping for... Well, I mean, at this point, even Past in Flames doesn't win the game for him. All of his ramp in his graveyard is 2 mana. So Julian down to 6. And Greg up to 28. So we're in 2-swing territory here. And an Ahiri. So this is going to get out of hand pretty quickly. Naveen, it's interesting you mentioned the path journey argument. This game state is probably the one time where it is clearly relevant that he packs journey over path, because Julian being stuck on 2 lands definitely hampered him, especially on his storm turn. Having to use a blue mana to Serum Visions before he could storm up into more mana. Yep, and there they go. That puts Greg up 1-0 here, and I have to assume Julian obviously going to be taking the play. You would assume. Might not be the case. Sideboard here, obviously we're going to have Shattering Spree come in, Wipe Away come in. Not sure Pieces of the Puzzle is really necessary here. I know Julian does have that in his sideboard. We could very likely see... Yeah, I agree completely, Naveen. This is just, like I said, the one fringe case where it mattered. As for Krabby, what I played at the 0.5K, I played Skred Delver, fully foiled out, complete with a playset of Judge Promo Bolts, because if there is a spirit of the format, I intend to violate it in every way possible. And I lost to Affinity, which is obviously a bad matchup for me, which I knew going in that there was going to be a lot of Affinity out there. I even mentioned to Alex, because he was saying he wanted to be on Affinity. I would stay away from it. We have a lot of people building Affinity and Elves. Despite all that, and that those are 2 of my worst matchups with Skred Delver, that is exactly what I played that day. Round 2, I lost to Nolan, who was on Blue-Black Reanimator. Actually got rid of all of his Exhumes, dazed him out of the game, and then he stuck a hard-cast Striped Riverwinder, which Skred Delver literally cannot beat that deck. I did, however, pack 2 swirling sandstorms in my sideboard. He beat me through both of those. Didn't matter. Got there. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't mad at it. I was pretty tired, as I believe you mentioned. So I was like, well, I'm going to go home. It was a good crowd, though, and it's definitely something we're doing again this month. We will actually have a post going up. So Maplewood has their high-stakes popper on Thursday. I mean, yeah, that's a good game. You tried. You did well. So they have their high-stakes popper the Thursday before our next 0.5K, which we're obviously going to do every month now because the format is insanely popular. It was a fun time. We got a ton of people. So their high stakes will still qualify you for our event. And we are actually that same week running a pauper event that will have a Scrubland, foil Unstable Mountain, foil Blighted Agent, and foil Ninja of the Deep Hours in the prize pool, in addition to whatever store credit we pay out based on attendance. And, excuse me, that will be the same week, not the same day. Obviously, we want Maplewood. They've been great. Their pauper format, their community is insane. We love them. So we're going to be having 2 events that week that will qualify you for our 0.5K with free entry. So trying to expand the entry points, and what we're probably going to do is have ours prior to theirs. So if you don't win at our weekly pauper event and get entry, which is on Wednesdays, play at theirs on Thursday, get free entry there. So trying to help the community out as much as possible, give you guys more entry points. And it looks like we are off to 2. And let's see what we have with the start. Julian Island, sleight of hand for turn 1. Let's see. Keeps one pretty quickly there, and now Greg. Yeah, I agree. Nolan's an interesting fellow. He always acts like he doesn't want to play, but he keeps coming back. And we'll get a Temple Scry from Greg here to the bottom pretty swiftly as well. But I like Nolan. He's great. And a tapped Steam Vents with a Serum Vision. Man, I'm good at this game. As I'm sure a lot of people have seen, Star City is doing a $20,000 no ban list modern event. A lot of people are thinking Storm is going to take that because you have access to Ponder and Preordain, and Storm's already pretty good. My take on that, not that anyone asked, and Rest in Peace. Woof. That is also very difficult. That sounds about right, Naveen. Yeah. I think actually Hypergenesis is the most well-positioned deck in a no ban list modern, because you get to pack all of the Storm hate pieces while being vulnerable to 0 of those hate pieces that incidentally hit other decks. So I think in a vacuum, it is definitely the best. And we'll see here, Julian. Land, mountain. I mean, I want to build 12 post with prime times, Jace's, everything. I think Blazing Infect will be good. There's just a lot more removal now than there was then, and Mental Misstep definitely hurts it. Let's see, and we have Simian Spirit Guide in hand for Greg, so he could turbo out a Blood Moon here, but Julian actually sitting pretty okay with 2 basics out. Of a fetch land. Greg debating pretty heavily what to do here. Have to feel like if he could Chandra here, he would. Start to apply pressure to Julian's life total. And Greg, not properly sequencing, just going straight to 17. Sacred Foundry, so we have 2 red, 3 white available for him. I'm wondering... Yeah. Well, he might be representing... Oh, wow. Okay, we're just going to get a Baneslayer Angel. Turn 3. It's pretty decent, I've heard. Wipe away. Wow. Which is now exiled. So Julian pretty aggressively pursuing Storm this turn, I would have to say. I mean, I guess he does buy himself a turn there. But I can't imagine. So we're going to sleight of hand. Snapping off pretty quickly there as well. Storm count at 1, and we are off, presumably. Pyretic Ritual for trips red, storm count 2. 3 red in pool. Now exiled. We're going to empty for 6 tokens. Okay. That does present 1 more damage than the Baneslayer, though Baneslayer can just block and negate all of that damage. The Angel got Wipe Awayed. Ooh, Anger of the Gods. Pretty swift answer to that empty. Things are now looking grim for the home team. Home team being Moonbase Market. Spirebluff Canal into play tapped, and Greg has really never not been in command either of these games. And that Anger was just real well timed there. Magus of the Moon. Woof. So Julian now with a single blue source. Though it looks like we're going to gifts in response. Which with Rest in Peace is not great. I'm not sure what you would hope to be getting here unless he basically has it in hand. You can get Desperate, Morphos, Pyretic, and can't really... Oh, Empty. Yep. Maybe. So I think... I like what Wizards did with not announcing anything prior to the Pro Tour. I thought that was good. I think Jace should be unbanned. I think you can unban Bloodbraid if you simultaneously ban Ancestral Visions. That's the only way, though. However, what they will actually do, because the modern Pro Tours historically, there was a banning after every single one until the one where they banned the Pro Tour itself, which was a thing that they did. I guess that counts as a banning. But, so, I am fully expecting that we will, if Tron continues to dominate, get some generic piece of Tron removed. I think Storm is fine. There are plenty of ways for decks to interact with that in a favorable way. What you're seeing it here. It's easy to disrupt. I don't think it's that bad. However, Tron... Yeah, I know. Tron, I think you've had enough people clamoring for it. Eldrazi Winter was a thing. It just switched laterally into Tron. I'm not sure what you ban, though. Expedition Map feels real bad. You can't ban one Tron piece. You have to ban all 3. Otherwise, it's pointless. none of the creatures are super oppressive. Sylvan Scrying isn't that bad. I'm just not sure. See, I think Eldrazi Tron is the worst Tron list currently. It also has the highest barrier for entry of any of the Tron lists. It is the one which is least likely to change over the course of the game. The more cards get printed, and a Baral, that's actually pretty decent there. See, Stirrings, I'm not necessarily sure I disagree with. I don't think it's wrong. I just think the fact that you do have to build around that card. I'm not saying it shouldn't be banned, but the fact that you do have to build around it makes it somewhat more fair. And Anger. Yep. That was a pretty clear bait there. Can't imagine Greg would have swung if he didn't have a way to exile the Baral afterwards. Although Julian fully online with his lands now after that's gone. But to get back to that point, Naveen, yeah, I could see them banning Ancient Stirrings. For me personally, I don't think it's that ban-worthy. I think Wizards would absolutely ban it because it's the type of card that they print, air quotes, by mistake without testing, like Tarmogoyf being 2 mana instead of 3, or Jit getting to the 3rd mode without testing the gain 2 life, or Oliver Urza block, them just openly admitting, we never tested this. And got a little bit more Storm here. We've got 2 mana in pool, Storm count at 2. This will be... Yeah, I'm really excited for it, and Snapcasters are creeping up pretty quickly now. And then Desperate Ritual, go up a storm, go to 4 red. Incidentally, one of my friends who is regularly testing with Chinese pro players, not Lucas actually, said that a lot of the Chinese pros are actually on the Hollow One list, which I thought was very interesting. So we will Grape Shot, actually, for 3. 4, sorry, 4. Yes, the red-black one specifically. And Julian actually aware of the alternate storm plan that he has to be on here, of just incrementally storming away until he can get there. Yeah, it is definitely a good list. It's very solid, somewhat difficult to interact with. Oh, man, and here is another empty. Storm count 5, so we will have 10 tokens. Yeah, Mr. Charlie Dynamite Corbin, definitely good with the list. And Sweltering Suns out of the game. That was all of Julian's Storm. So there we have round 1, at least in our feature match area, ending with a bang, or lack thereof. Yeah, it is definitely very math intensive. There is obviously a little bit of randomness in there because, with Burning Inquiries, stuff like that. It's also interesting to me, the debate between Flameblade Adept and Hollow One. What should you lead out turn 1? Should you play the Hollow One turn 1, or the Flameblade Adept turn 1 if you can? And, I personally think you should always... Yeah. Well, it's not prowess. It's when you discard, it gets some amount plus some amount Yeah. Hang on a second. We can throw it on up. Yep, exactly. Until you get to turn 4 or 5, that's when things start to basically jump ship for the list, unfortunately. It just runs out of steam. It's not designed for a mid game or a late game. It's very much almost like a Belcher list. It's very all in. I'm either going to do my thing by this turn or I'm just done. And that's very, very much what the deck does. It's always interesting, though, to me, I think, to look at and see. All right, and one moment here. We will be right back in the booth. Yeah. Yeah, that's always, to me, that's the one that I feel like you should always